I look at your group's discussion, and I think it's very interesting. And I found the group you're trying to discuss is what will affect the average person fuel consumption. So that's a really interesting topic. And I don't know if you can find the data set. And so for today, this assignment of the discussion, I want you to specify the data you want to use. And in the previous discussion, you already identified the topic. As I said, it's very interesting. But in order to finish this project, you need to have the feasible data set, and so that you can do a good analysis. So in this video, I will give you some help on how can you identify the proper variables. And so the first, before I start to talk about your project, I highly suggest you to reread the report about the, let me look at it. It's about, if you go back to look at the paper, it's about the determining future success of college student. So I highly recommend your group to read that articles. The idea is looking at that article and try to identify the Y dependent variable and the X independent variables. So if you look at the data set, you will find the Y variable, the dependent variable is the income. And we consider the income is as our quantitative variables. And the rest of the X variables, and you will find at least one quantitative variables. So the X variable they have is and they have the GPA, major, SAT math, and a SAT verbal score, and working experience, race, female, and age. So you will find the X variable is help them to explain the reason why some student after graduate they can have the higher salary. So they think maybe the GPA major and the SAT math score and the SAT verbal score and working experience, race, and female age will affect their income. So if you think the income, which is the Y variable, dependent variable, and they are quantitative variable, and the GPA major and the SAT math score, SAT verbal score, and they are quantitative variables. So in the race, female, and they are qualitative variable or categorical variable. So the general idea is you will use the X variable to explain the reason why. So let me specifically talking about your project. So you are interested in answering the question, what will affect the average fuel consumption? So obviously from your question, my idea is the Y variable should be the fuel consumption per person. So that would be a very good quantitative variable, but I don't know where you can find the data set. So in your discussion, please let me know where you can find the data set to measure the fuel consumption per person. And so you can either find online, or if you want to design the questionnaire. So you need to let me know in what way you can collect the data set for your Y variable. So now you have very good Y variable. So the second, you need to know what is your X variable. So the question you need to ask yourself is, what will affect the average person's fuel consumption? So for my understanding, the fuel consumption can be affected by maybe the year of the car. So for instance, some car produced like 1919, and it definitely will consume more fuel, because at that point, people don't care about the fuel efficiency of the car. So that would be one quantitative variable. And also I'm thinking about maybe the age of the person, and maybe the younger person, they are don't care about the whether I don't know, some young kids I know, they just considering the fancy car, so they like the racing car, so they don't really care about whether the car are fuel efficient or not. So maybe the age of the person will affect the average fuel consumption per person. And also, so now you have two quantitative variable as your X variable to explain why the people consume that much of the fuel. And also you can, after you include a certain amount of the quantitative variable, you can add some categorical variables such as the gender of the person and the race of the person and also the type of the car they have. So that's the idea I give to you. So I hope you use this week's discussion to finalize the variables. Again, the Y variable should be quantitative variable, and the X variable you need to have at least two X variables, and at least one of them should be quantitative variable. And if you have any question, I highly recommend you to contact me through telephone, or if you have class in the campus and come to visit me during my office hour, or make a schedule with me. So you need to start to collect the data, and after we finish learning the chapter 14 and 15, you can start to write your project. And good luck.